Yeah, really. Hello.
Okay,
Hello.
you're on.
All right. This is really not an episode of Real People, Real Life, but this is definitely a real life
episode
series
Okay.
of unbelievable events. And we met you last Thursday, okay, which I don't know when we're going to get to all this, but there was an event at WSU, and we have to thank Mary Dean and Senator Oliva for bringing the folks forward to this meeting at WSU, because I would not have met you had it not been for that.
Yeah,
And so
she asked me to come. I was glad. I called her and thanked her because I really, was wanted to be there to let them hear my voice about, what are they doing about this, and DCL did what they did. They didn't check on the baby, and all that had came together in the first beginning. Both of them would have been here.
Right. I want you to, because this is your story. Nobody can tell it like
Yes,
you.
please.
Okay, so I want you to go back to, you made a first report to CPS and a first report to the WPD May of 2015, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I didn't make it personally, but my family did.
Right. Okay. So, tell me who the people are that are involved. And first introduce yourself.
My name is Linda Hodges. I'm the great-grandmother of Benson Moore, and Zandler Moore.
And this little baby here
Yes,
has been missing.
yes. Since the police said July the 11th.
Now,
But I found out July the 29th.
is that when the report that she speaks of was made on July 11th by other family members of yours?
No, I don't know who made the report that the baby was missing July the 11th. But
That'd be something I'd want to find out, who made the original report.
Yeah. Tell me, okay, let's walk from day one. Okay, tell me the mother, tell me the father, and how this all got started.
Okay, this is the mother's name is Michelle Mendez, and the father's name is Gary Moore. They are married, legally married. It got started by domestic violence, and through the domestic violence, Michelle lied about Gary abusing her, and he went to court. I guess she put a restraining order on him, and then, after that, they got married, and so the police said that he violated his probation, so he went to jail and had an ankle bracelet on. And so after that, he had it on for a while, but I guess she went down and explained that she lied, and he had a lawyer trying to get him off this ankle bracelet.
Right.
He was working, yes, and so during the time, he said, he came to me and told me what was going on about what Michelle was doing with the kids. She's taking pictures saying, where she beat the kids, and she'll take a picture and send it to him, and then she'll say, well, I'm going to kill him, and things like that. And he said, well, Grandma, I'm really scared,
Okay, next of all, we need the phone number that he received those to, so that we
They
can
have
obtain.
his phone.
Well, we need to obtain those threats and those pictures.
Let me ask you, did the police take a look at that phone?
I don't know if they did or not, but they did confiscate his phone. They got it, and he's. I think he told him, not to look at it until he get a lawyer, but he didn't know whether they're going to erase it because they was treating him so badly.
Right.
So
You can't erase those records.
So they still got his phone, as far as I know.
Okay. Do you know who the phone provider is?
Was
it like Cricket?
You can find that out through the phone number itself.
Right,
Okay.
and you can get a record
Of those messages, those texts.
all
You
of
can
that.
court order
If you
it.
can go back to if it's Cricket or if it's Verizon or whoever the provider is, go back to that provider, have him do it, or whoever was legally paying that bill, have them go back and they can provide you all that.
That's correct.
All that. So let's keep going.
Okay. What was I? So through that, he was stopped once before. I don't know if she called the police on him again, but he went and got the kids because of something she had texted him or something about the kids, and he asked to see them or something. But he got them, and he cut the ankle bracelet off, and then he took them to Texas, you know. And
For
he
their safety.
Yeah, he
Right.
did. And so he stayed down there for maybe 3-4 weeks or whatever. But when they came back, both the kids was fine.
Right.
You know, they came over here several times, and you know,
They were happy and well
They was
adjusted, and they
happy,
obviously had not
playing.
had any
Is that when you
marks.
took this picture?
yeah, that's when they took the picture. They was standing right there. And so after that, you know, I didn't see him for maybe a week or so. And the next thing I knew, that the police came over on the 29th saying that the baby had been missing ever since the 11th.
Now, why did they come to you?
Because Michelle said that we had the baby. That
Okay, so she made accusations that you guys had the baby.
Yes, my daughter Shatina and my daughter Jada. And I said, well, why would Michelle say that they had the baby? She don't have the baby. Jada worked, you know. Jada was working at the time. So I said, you know, she got to find a babysitter for her kid. She didn't have the baby. So the police came and told me they was staking out her house. They've been there for 3 or 4 days looking for Jada.
Staking at your house?
No, Jada's house,
Your
out
daughter's,
south.
your
Mhm.
daughter's house, okay.
Uh-huh. And they had been there for 3 or 4 days, and Jada knew they was there, and she didn't go home because she had a warrant. And so when they came over here, they told me, said, well, just tell Jada we're looking for her. We know she got a warrant, and we're not going to arrest her. We just want to know if she got the baby or not. And I did. I got in touch with her, and you know, told her what was going on. And she said, well, Mama, I haven't seen the baby. I don't know, you know. And I said, well, how did Michelle get that you had the baby? She said, I don't know, you know. And Michelle said that Boo told her that. Okay, Boo told her that.
And Boo.
But oh,
Your
Gary.
grandson,
Okay,
Gary.
right, okay, okay.
Gary.
I know we all have nicknames for our loved ones, but work with me here. I may not know all our nicknames.
Yeah, that Gary said that she had the baby, and she did. And then they was looking for Shatina. They was flashing her picture, looking for her to see if she had the baby, and she didn't. And you know, they went to her house, and they was doing this all about a.m. in the morning, you know.
So
That night.
originally, the police were looking.
Yeah, but that's
Originally.
What they, yeah.
No, I don't understand though. Why were the police originally looking for the baby? Did the mother call them and say the baby was missing?
They said that Michelle said that Gary was the last one that had the baby, and she's reported that she hadn't seen the baby since June the 5th. But I know that's a lie.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Turn the pen
originally,
around with it, please.
yeah, so originally, police were looking for this child. But
Yeah.
what we don't understand yet, and we're gonna try to get a little bit more.
Is what satisfied their hunt for them to
Yeah.
stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after Michelle went down there and did all the volunteer taking the lie detector test, you know, they said
Well, I
they
mean,
can't look anymore. They
Fact of the
can't
matter is
investigate.
if she isn't to be considered, who else would be on your list? I mean, she's saying he had the baby.
And he's
She
saying,
passed a lie detector test.
yes.
Has he taken a lie detector test?
No, I don't think so. It was just his word that she took the baby from him. Yeah, and he was going to, she had called him to come because he wanted to get the baby's shots. And she told him that she had a birth certificate and he needed to come and get the birth certificate because she changed the baby's name. And I said, well, you just can't change the baby's name overnight.
No,
Yeah, you know. But that was in order to set him up so the police could get him.
wow, so she pretty much set him up to get
Yeah.
arrested, and so that's where he is.
What was her motivation though for that?
You know,
Does she believe he has the baby? I mean, okay, is she a
Obviously
drug
he doesn't,
abuser?
yes.
Okay, it's not uncommon that they would get so out of their mind that they wouldn't realize.
But I don't think he's a drug abuser. She is.
Right, but I'm saying
Oh, yeah, yeah.
she very well might not know.
Well, I'm thinking, you
And
know.
that's how you would pass a lie detector test
You know.
with
I-
involvement.
Yes. And I'm thinking that she might have got so messed up that the guy was with her, got the baby, and left or did whatever he did.
Do we
And
know
she
who-
don't know or
And that
don't
could be.
remember.
Okay,
And it
that
could be like that.
Okay, do we know who that gentleman is?
Do we know his name?
Well, Victor, Kelly, what is it? Victor, you know the last name?
Victor.
We don't know the last name, but the first name is Victor. Yeah.
Is he a friend of hers on Facebook maybe? I mean, how can we find out who this guy is?
That's what we asked. I don't know. She just.
Well, okay, so how did she meet this guy? He
Well,
just
as far
turned
as I'm
up
concerned, she just met him in Chicago.
and he came back here with her?
This is what I'm assuming. I don't know for sure. But, you know, he said he's from Chicago and, you know, he's a friend of the mother. And, you know, I said, well, what is your involvement in it? You don't even know the baby. No, I don't. Oh,
Was
yes,
this
I
on the
did.
phone that you talked
No, we was out here in
to?
the yard.
Okay.
And he said, well, no, I don't know the baby. And they said, oh, well, I've seen the baby once, you know. Now, this has got to be in time when the baby was missing. How did he see that baby?
Right. I don't understand why the police are not following
Well, okay, let me
through.
say, if I were a detective on this, I would have a slight suspect case developed already.
I would
A-
too.
A list of suspects. This gentleman, Vince, okay,
Victor.
Victor, the baby's Vincent. The mother,
Mhm.
even though she's passed the lie detector test, she plays a key role in this.
Mhm.
She should be
Gary,
giving up who that guy is.
okay, I mean, and I would give him a lie detector test. If he could pass one, it would immediately go to that Victor guy.
Mhm.
Okay, because that's who she was with. I mean, I can see an unfolding of events.
This is getting scary.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is kind of getting
But
scary.
he shouldn't take a lie detector test without a representative with him.
True.
Because he's already a
I
suspect.
absolutely agree.
And
They're looking to point
Do
a
they
finger
have-
real
do they-
easily.
Do they have they, excuse me, have they shared, I mean, do you know, have they at least, you know, gone so far as established a suspect list?
No, that's why they said they couldn't put out an Amber Alert because they don't have a suspect.
Now, you know, I contacted somebody on that, and that's not true.
Well, that's what they told us.
Okay.
Do they have a
So-
suspect list?
From what they told her, see, she's asked to put out an Amber
Oh,
Alert.
and they say they have to have a
They
suspect.
say
No,
they
you don't.
No, you don't.
Because if
That's
somebody
right, I
steals a
double-checked.
child out of a bedroom window, you have no suspect.
That's right.
But you're gonna put out an Amber
Exactly.
Alert, so.
Well,
Exactly, and I did confirm that with, you know, something.
Well,
So
there's
why
that
was
law.
there no Amber Alert?
he told me that,
Why isn't there one now?
you know, because I said, you come to me on the 29th, and the baby been missing ever since the 11th. And I didn't know, and I haven't seen anything on TV about this baby being missing. Why didn't you put out an Amber Alert? Oh, well, we got to talk to our supervisor. And they don't usually put out one unless they have a suspect.
That is
so not
incorrect.
true. That is not true. Okay, so the mother, Michelle, is gallivanting the streets of
Yeah.
Wichita currently,
Yes.
and she probably knows who this, Victor,
Well, I'm sure she does.
Yes.
she knows who he is,
Yeah, we got
apparently.
pictures with him and her together. They was out here in my yard.
Did you turn over those pictures to anybody at the police department?
Well, they don't want to see it. They already know everything they say.
Well, then
Well, apparently they don't know
then
everything.
You need the name of that gentleman,
Mhm.
if they know everything.
Well, he was pointed out in the robbery, and Michelle said she didn't know him, but she with him all the time.
Is that the gentleman that
Yeah.
you're referring to that robbed the
Yes.
subway?
Yes.
They got all kinds of video on this man.
They didn't. But they don't have his picture.
What?
No, they got. If you have anything, she showed me on her Facebook, you know, but they don't have his picture. I said, well, why not show his picture? They got him. He was identified.
Any other case, they would have a picture.
I
of
know.
him.
Well,
They
seven
would be
people was
asking the
identified.
public. They would be asking the public
Huh?
for information.
They didn't have nothing. Nothing been on the news. Nothing.
Yeah, somebody.
And then they watched him. Oh, that's not. But they watched him strip his clothes. That's how they found out who he was. He pulled the clothes. He was running, taking his clothes off with this gun, and threw his clothes in the lake behind the motel where they at. And so they called the police and told them, yeah, you know, we see him. He threw his clothes over there, and they called the fire department. Fire department got the clothes out the lake, and
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I can't, I mean, this is just the most, I have to tell you, I've seen a lot of bizarre
Okay,
things.
so He's
I'm just
currently
like-
staying at the hotel in front of that lake?
I think he was, but
Within the last
now,
couple
you don't
days,
know.
maybe?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because, when all that happened, they was looking for him. They
He's gotta move
claimed
around.
they were looking for him.
Right.
But he gotta move around. He just can't sit still because she said she didn't know him.
But you have pictures of them together.
I know. I know. We got pictures of them together.
Some may.
Okay, there's just something that is, I can't even wrap my head around what you've got to be going through
Okay.
because, so as long as the mother said that the baby was missing, then suddenly they're looking at family members and doing this and doing that, and they never found the baby, and then suddenly they just really have dropped the ball.
That's the way it seemed. But they didn't look at her family. They looked at among our family. I asked us questions about the baby. No one asked their family anything. Michelle don't want any flyers out there. She don't want nobody to cameras out there. They don't want. Well, they tell me they don't like black people.
Who?
What? Who? What?
Her mother and stuff don't like black people. They don't like Gary.
What does that have to do with
The kid, no.
the child?
I don't know. I do not know.
Okay, I'm confused. So,
Boy, they're gonna
They've
poop their
not
pants
at
when
all
an investigator
questioned
shows
her
up at their
family?
house.
Not that I know of. They told me that they couldn't question her family
why?
Why?
because she passed a lie detector test.
That is so
and
not
she
true.
telling the truth. And I said, well, when the news come over here and interview me,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him, he asked me, did I think was she telling the truth? And I told him no, I
Right.
don't.
Right.
You
You
know?
said that the other night too.
Yeah, I told him
Instead
no, I
of
didn't.
saying no, you don't, say this instead. Say, she could have been so spun out of her mind that this is what she believes to be the truth, and she lost the baby or gave it up or sold it.
No. Well, they would have cut it. They would have.
Well, the problem, when you're dealing with network television, I've said this before, they may have hours of video.
Right, but you get
that
what they want you
segment
to
it
see
and
of
edit
it.
it down to about usually 2
Two-
minutes,
yeah,
3
yeah,
minutes.
yeah. I've
And a
seen
lot
that.
of time the information doesn't always get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, my solution to this situation is that we do raw video. We don't edit.
Right.
Good.
So that everybody's got a chance to tell their story. When we finish with all the video that we got from Thursday night, and we want to get more from you today, then there's a couple others that we want to get, and then we're going to